let's start at the very beginning. Who was Acacia before the ballad really began?
Acacia's story starts with this inherent contrast. She's the result of a brief union between a wandering song weaver, that's her mother, and King of Okhan, her noble father.
A king and a traveling musician. That's already a mix of worlds, isn't it?
Definitely. And that mix seems to define her early life inside the castle.
Inside the castle, so she was raised there.
Yes, the sources are clear. She grew up within the castle walls, acknowledged as the king's daughter. But here's the key thing. She was neglected, explicitly described as never truly embraced by her father or the court.
Right, so she had the status, the location, but none of the warmth or acceptance, an outsider on the inside.
Pretty much in the court. Well, courts always whispered on that.
Oh, always. What were they whispering about?
Her parentage, naturally. But also something physical, striking about her. Her eyes. The material describes them as peculiar, sometimes shimmering with this lavender hue, like dustlight.
Lavender eyes. Interesting. And there was something else, an object.
Yes, the blue Dodecahedron. Her only tangible link to the mother she barely knew.
Ah, right. I remember reading that.
Exactly. This strange geometric artifact from her mother. That and a whispered song that she heard in her dreams were basically her only connections to her maternal side.
Wow. That must have been incredibly isolating. Growing up like that with just those two sort of ethereal links to her mother, what did that do to her, inside?
The sources point to this interesting duality. Outwardly, she seemed timid, maybe a defense mechanism in that cold place.
Makes sense.
But underneath, there was already this quiet rebellion brewing, a disconnect between that gentle surface and an inner fire that was starting to grow.
So how did she cope with the loneliness, that inner fire? What did she turn to?
Music. That became her refuge. She secretly taught herself the lute. Yeah, often by moonlight, the sources say. Using songs not just for comfort, but actively, to fight that loneliness she felt in the castle. It was her own private world.
That feels like her first real act of defiance, doesn't it? Creating beauty where none was given. But it didn't stay secret forever, right? Her father found out.
He did, and his reaction was not supportive at all.
Oh.
He was furious. Saw it as beneath her station, a noble playing at minstrel tricks. Your material even quotes him directly, which is powerful.
A noble doesn't stoop to minstrel tricks. You disgrace this palace every time you touch that thing.
That's devastating for a child seeking approval. How does she react to that?
Well, instead of stopping, she just got more secretive.
Yeah.
Played more quietly, hidden away. And the source notes something interesting. Her songs, maybe fueled by that pain, they grew sharper.
Huh. So rejection didn't break the connection to music.
No, it refined it, made it more potent, maybe even more resentful. She was constantly struggling for his affection, constantly dismissed, and pouring all of that into her music.
It's like the music absorbed the hurt and sharpened its edges. Okay, so she's living this double life, timid, noble, secret musician, carrying all this weight. What finally broke things? What pushed her out?
It happened when she was 14. The sources describe this specific windy night. She woke up, heard something, and crept down to the great solar hall.
Thinking it was just the wind, maybe.
Probably. But what she found was much, much worse. She overheard her father, King Sithril, talking in hushed tones with the Lord Vereen. He represented a group called the Gilded Chain.
The Gilded Chain sounds ominous.
And the conversation confirmed it. It revealed the brutal reality of her father's rule.
This is where the personal trauma crashes into the political cruelty, right?
Exactly. They were talking about harsh taxes, forcing people to pay in resources, even calling them labor conscripts, basically forced labor.
Labor conscripts. Wow.
And when Vereen asked about the children involved in this, the king's reply was just chilling.
What did he say?
Train them early. Hunger makes fine discipline.
He just lays bare his whole philosophy.
That's cold. Utterly cold. And Acacia heard this. Her own father.
She heard it all. Her heart, the sources say, broke and burned at the same time. She was trembling with rage. And then she stepped out, confronted him.
At 14, confronting the king. That took guts, that inner fire finally bursting out.
Absolutely. She accused him of ruling like a butcher. And crucially, she brought up her mother.
And that was the trigger.
That was the final break.
Yeah.
Sithril's response was immediate, devastatingly cold.
Your mother was a mistake.
Your mother was a mistake.
Your mother was a mistake. Just
Wow.
dismissing her entire existence.
It shattered everything. Any last shred of hope or trust, gone. It validated every feeling of neglect she'd ever had. And then, in his anger, he took the Dodecahedron,
No, the one linked to her mother.
the one physical link. When you earn your place, he told her, perhaps you'll earn this back. Just twisting the knife.
That's incredibly cruel, calculated.
It was the end. The sources say the next morning, she just vanished. Slipped into the alleys of Okhan.
Vanished. But you can't really vanish when you're royalty, can you? Especially when the king wants you found.
Exactly. She was instantly on the run, hunted by the city guards, had to cut her distinctive hair, use fake names, hide her face. Your material really captures that feeling of being utterly alone, cast out from a place she never really belonged to begin with.
From neglect in a palace to hunted on the streets. That's a harsh transition. It must harden you fast.
Oh, definitely. But it's during this desperate time, she finds an unexpected bit of help.
Right. The sources mention someone finding her.
Yes. She's found behind a bakery, singing her mother's tune softly, and this old man in a puppet-covered wagon finds her. Father Brenn Taldrin.
Father Brenn. Tell us about him.
He's described as a bit broken himself, a former cleric of Aladamara.
The god of mischief and revelry.
That's the one. Now he traveled, using puppet shows to spread his teachings. He saw something in Acacia, the defiance, the pain, maybe a kindred spirit.
And he took her in.
Offered her food, safety, and something else really important. A lute?
Another lute.
Yeah. But this one wasn't fancy, not enchanted, not even well-tuned. But it was hers. A gift. A sign of belonging, maybe? The sources say it sometimes shielded her better than magic.
That's quite a statement. So she's safe now, she has a mentor, a new lute, but the trauma, the running, that must have changed that timid girl, fundamentally.
Completely. The sources stress how quickly the betrayal and the harshness hardened her. Fear turned into anger. Sorrow became defiance. That timid exterior, gone, became a weapon. She learned to be extremely cautious about trust, and she started to understand, maybe through Mayan, that passion, like deliberate passion, is rebellion.
So Father Brenn wasn't just teaching survival skills.
No, much more. He taught her cleverness, sly tricks, pickpocketing, yes, but also using performance as persuasion, finding joy even when things are grim. Aladamara's teachings became her sort of silent compass, mischief and revelry as guiding principles.
So for the next couple of years with him, she's not just surviving, she's actively building a new identity.
That's exactly it. Learning cons, using different names, trading her old noble trinkets for coppers, and physically crafting this new identity too, creating her bold purple and gold armor.
Ah, the armor. It sounds like a statement piece.
It really is. A visual sign of that rebellious spirit Brenn helped foster. She wasn't hiding anymore.
But then things take another turn.
Yeah. Father Brenn got sick, and with his last coin, he gave her his final instructions. Go to Waterdeep.
Waterdeep. And he had some parting words.
Really important ones. They set her on the next stage. He said,
Find something bigger than pickpocketing. Find a cause. Find joy, damn it.
Find a cause. Find joy, damn it.
Powerful. So, off to Waterdeep. Your sources call it a chaotic mosaic.
Yeah, which was perfect for her, right? Someone complex, needing to blend in. She started singing for supper, playing for coins, gathering stories. A street performer's life. Okhan was still too dangerous, and she had nowhere else.
Making a life, but maybe still looking for that bigger thing Brenn mentioned.
Seems like it. And the sources say she was drawn by a sound in the city.
What sound?
Distant flutes and wild laughter. It led her to a rooftop performance. And there she found them, the masked melody.
This sounds like the moment she finds her tribe, her chosen family. Who were they?
A real mix, according to your material. Bards, thieves, radicals. Their whole thing was rebellion through revelry. Sharp songs, clever heists, mocking tyrants, freeing prisoners, performance art with a political edge.
Using all the skills she'd been honing, music, performance, cleverness, mischief, but for a cause.
Exactly. They wore masks, partly for disguise, partly as a symbol. They laughed like they'd never been hurt. Maybe because they had been, but chose joy anyway. And Acacia. The sources say she joined them that very night, mask in hand.
And how did that feel for her, finally finding a place like that?
Like being seen. Truly seen for the first time. She could laugh without apology, let that inner fire show. Her songs, already sharp, got even more teeth, more purpose. She was singing for liberation now.
And she earned her spot.
Oh yeah. Earned a Trickster's Coin 1 with 2 identical faces after dozens of successful missions, a symbol of her skill, her duality maybe.
It's in this troop she forms another key relationship, right?
Yes. She meets Mira Quickhandsfell. Material paints a great picture. Lean, wiry, fast-talking, wicked grin, stormy eyes, always a scar hinting at a past,
Sounds like a character.
Yeah.
As good as her nickname.
Even better. Moved like smoke, hit like a storm, stealing rings, kissing wives, gone before dessert. Best knife thrower, apparently, but terrible with names.
Ah, love it. And her connection with Acacia.
Immediate friendship. Lots of bickering, teasing, daring each other. Acacia really admired Mira's skill, maybe even envied her fearlessness.
The sources hint at something more, too, beneath the banter.
They do. A flicker, maybe, of something deeper. A connection Acacia wasn't quite ready to, name yet. But their loyalty was sealed during a mission.
The raid on the corrupt merchant's estate.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Mira tackled a guard going for Acacia, took a knife in the ribs for her.
Whoa.
And even bleeding, she laughed and said,
"If anyone is going to stab you, it's going to be me."
That's intense. A very specific kind of loyalty.
right. It completely solidified Acacia's own silent vow to protect Mira. And as these bonds grew, so did Acacia's own abilities.
How so?
Over the next decade with the melody, her reputation grew, sure, but her magic deepened. Performances got stranger, more powerful. Illusions flared. Songs could actually incite or calm crowds.
She's really wielding her music as a force now. And she found something else significant during a raid, didn't she? On a moneylender connected to the gilded chain.
Yes, the rapier. A slender blade engraved with mocking verses, smile first, strike second.
Fits her style.
It called to her, the sources say. Resonated with her dance-like combat style. Became a constant companion.
Okay, so fast forward. She has her lute, powerful songs, skills from Brenn, her troop family, Mira, this rapier. Seems like she's found her place, yet something was still missing.
Yes, even older, more self-aware, having processed a lot of grief, she still felt this ache, an incomplete piece, and she realized it was the artifact, the blue dodecahedron her father took.
The last piece of her mother, still in the castle. That realization must have been huge.
It prompted a very risky move. She decided she had to go back. Back to the castle she fled.
How did she manage that?
Used her childhood knowledge of the layout, slipped past security.
And she wasn't after revenge or gold.
No. She went straight to her old room, found the dodecahedron exactly where he'd left it, took nothing else. Just that artifact.
Wow.
The last tangible piece of her mother.
And getting it back, did it change things?
It did. The sources describe it humming with ancient purpose when she sang, like a forgotten harmony joining her music. She didn't fully understand it, just that it was a key, something greater tied to her lineage, her magic.
And holding it shifted her purpose again.
Yes, that power pulsing from it, it felt like it knew her. And suddenly the troops' laughter, her lute, it wasn't quite enough anymore, which brings us to her current state.
So that ache is back, but different.
Refined. It's not just personal vengeance against her father anymore.
It's bigger.
Much bigger. It's about liberation. For Okhan's people, for her own legacy, for herself fully realized. She sees the full picture now, what her father's rule has done.
And despite the fear, she knows this is her path. Not the throne, but something else.
Yes. She wasn't born to rule, but to unshackle the betrayed, the oppressed, people like she used to be. She's not running anymore, she's turning back.
Her rebellion is now political, purposeful.
Absolutely. So she stands ready. Blade in hand, lute on her back, mother's song in her soul, and that artifact, pulsing, ready.
Ready to strike a chord that might actually change the world this time. Make that kingdom finally listen.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? The culmination of everything. Neglected child, hunted fugitive, celebrated rebel, now poised for this final act.
All those elements, music, the artifact, the masked melody, Mira, the sword, the skills, this refined political purpose, they've all converged into who she is now.
She's the synthesis of it all, ready to face her past and fight for a different future.
It really makes you think, this journey. How does someone take that deep personal pain and transform it into fuel for liberating others? How does individual injustice spark a wider movement?
Yeah, and thinking about her going back armed with a song, a sword, and this mysterious relic, what does it really take to challenge such an entrenched, cruel system?
What kind of power, what kind of performance does it require to make a world that refuses to listen finally, inescapably hear you? It leaves you wondering, what kind of ballad is she about to play for Okhan?